This is Mexico. Discover why it's impossible to meet him without being enchanted. Did you know that Mexico is home to the most imposing pyramid on the planet, surpassing even the buildings in Egypt? And that its pioneering people domesticated chocolate more than 4,000 years ago, transforming it from a bitter, sacred ritual into the sweet treat we know today? This is just a sample of a country full of ancient stories around every corner, ready to be discovered. Welcome to Mexico, where time moves to the sound of mariachis. Here, vibrant colors are revealed both in the colonial facades of San Miguel de Allende and in the traditional costumes of Oaxaca, a land where the Pacific Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico define a geography that goes from intense deserts in the north to tropical forests in the south, passing through imposing volcanoes in the center and beaches with crystal-clear waters on its coasts. Imagine walking through the ancient Mayan ruins of Chichen Itza as the sun casts enigmatic shadows across the centuries-old stones. Or be enchanted by the sacred cenotes of the Yucatan Peninsula, which for the Mayans were watery portals to the underground world, and, for today's travelers, true oases of beauty. Feel the unmistakable aroma of fresh tortillas on the streets of Mexico City, where the Metropolitan Cathedral silently holds 5 centuries of history. Mexico is a place of contrasts, where tradition and modernity meet. It's where decorated skulls celebrate death during Dia de los Muertos, transforming mourning into a party full of colors. Its gastronomy, recognized as intangible cultural heritage of humanity, challenges the palate with surprising combinations of ancient flavors. In this documentary, we will explore beyond Cancun's resorts and cliché images. Together, we will uncover interesting facts that make Mexico unique, such as the fact that 68 official indigenous languages are spoken here, in addition to Spanish. We'll visit historic landmarks like Teotihuacan, the city of the gods, and reveal hidden treasures like the petrified waterfalls of Here del Agua and the impressive canyon of Sumidero. Get ready for an unforgettable experience in Mexico, a country that you don't just visit with your eyes, but that you can feel with all your senses, leaving a permanent mark on your heart. You've probably heard about the paradisiacal beaches, the imposing pyramids, and the explosion of flavors of Mexican food, but Mexico holds secrets that go far beyond what is shown on postcards. Get ready for a journey through the lesser-known aspects of this ancient land, where history and mystery intertwine around every corner. The first curiosity takes us deep into Mexico City, where an archaeological treasure was discovered by chance in 1978. Electric company workers, while excavating for repairs, found a circular stone almost 4 meters in diameter, the Coyolxauhqui monolith. This find revealed the location of the legendary Templo Mayor, the religious heart of the Aztec Empire, buried beneath the Mexican capital. What makes this discovery even more fascinating is that it corroborated accounts of the Spanish conquerors that many historians considered exaggerated. Today, ongoing excavations reveal new chambers and artifacts, suggesting that much of the city's pre-Columbian history is still waiting to be unearthed beneath the feet of the city's modern residents. Second curiosity: Mexico is the birthplace of corn domestication, a process that began approximately 9,000 years ago. Ancient Mexicans transformed a wild plant called teosini, with small ears just 2 to 3 centimeters long, into the versatile corn we know today. This agricultural achievement is considered one of humanity's greatest achievements in terms of genetic modification through artificial selection. What few know is that in addition to the typical yellow and white colors, Mexico grows corn in an explosion of colors: red, blue, purple, black, and even multicolored varieties called rainbow corn. Each variety has unique nutritional properties and is used in specific dishes of traditional Mexican cuisine. Have you ever heard of the Zone of Silence? Our third curiosity takes us to the Mapamay Desert, where there is a mysterious area known as Zona del Silencio. Located on the same parallel as Bermuda and the pyramids of Egypt, approximately 27 degrees north, this region gained notoriety in 1970 when a NASA missile inexplicably deviated from its course and crashed in the area. Researchers sent to recover the wreckage reported peculiar anomalies: radios that stopped working, compasses that spun out of control, and an abnormal concentration of meteorites. Locals tell stories of strange lights in the sky and tall, blonde visitors who ask only for water. Scientists attribute some phenomena to the presence of magnetite in the soil and geological peculiarities, but many aspects remain unexplained, fueling theories ranging from anomalous magnetic fields to interdimensional portals. The fourth curiosity transports us to a small island in the Xochimilco Channel, in Mexico City, home to one of the most chilling sights you can encounter. The Isla de las Muñecas, Island of Dolls, is decorated with hundreds of old, broken, and deteriorated dolls hanging from trees and buildings. The story began when Don Julian Santana Barrera found the body of a drowned girl near the island. Shortly afterwards, he found a doll floating in the same place, which he hung from a tree as a sign of respect. Gripped by fear that the girl's spirit might be tormenting the place, Julian spent 50 years collecting and hanging dolls to appease her spirit. The most chilling? Julian was found dead in 2001, drowned in the same canal where he found the girl. Current visitors report that the dolls change positions on their own and whisper to each other, especially during the night. Our fifth curiosity reveals a unique aspect of Mexican gastronomy: edible insects, or entomophagy, which have been part of the country's diet since pre-Hispanic times. Mexico has more than 500 species of edible insects, the largest variety in the world. Far from being considered exotic or emergency foods, many are expensive and seasonal delicacies. Chapulines, grasshoppers, seasoned with lemon and salt, are popular snacks in Oaxaca, while Eskimos and eggs are known as Mexican caviar and can cost up to $200 per kilo. Maguey gusanos, larvae that live in agave plants, are considered such a refined delicacy that some are preserved in mezcal bottles as a symbol of authenticity and quality. High in protein and low in fat, these ancient foods are being rediscovered as sustainable alternatives to traditional protein sources. Sixth interesting fact: Mexico is home to the oldest university in North America. The Royal and Pontifical University of Mexico was founded in 1551 by royal decree of Charles V of Spain, almost 85 years before Harvard. Initially offering courses in theology, sacred scriptures, canon law, and arts, the institution was the main academic center on the continent for centuries. After several historical transformations, it became the current National Autonomous University of Mexico, UNAM, whose main campus is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. What few know is that beneath the UNAM Central Library there is a special bunker that holds a collection of original pre-Hispanic manuscripts, including some of the rare Mayan and Aztec codices that survived destruction during the Spanish conquest. Our seventh curiosity takes us to a peculiar tradition in the city of San Juan Camula, in Chiapas, where religious syncretism has created one of the most unique spiritual experiences in the world. In the Church of São João Batista, traditional Catholic rituals were completely reinvented by the Tzotzil ethnic group. The floor is covered in fresh pine, and there are no benches or chairs. Instead of masses, entire families sit on the floor surrounded by hundreds of lit candles. There is no priest. Each family performs its own rituals, which may include sacrificing chickens, drinking pox, a sacred alcoholic drink, and drinking Coca-Cola, whose carbonation is associated with healing properties by promoting burps that expel bad spirits. Photography is strictly prohibited, and visitors caught taking photos can face serious consequences from the local community, who consider taking images as soul theft. Finally, our eighth curiosity reveals that Mexico has one of the most extensive underwater cave systems on the planet. On the Yucatan Peninsula, there are more than 8,000 cenotes, natural freshwater wells, that are entrances to a vast system of underground rivers. The Sacactin/Dos Ojos system was confirmed in 2018 as the largest underwater cave in the world, with more than 347 kilometers of mapped tunnel. In these crystal-clear waters, archaeologists have discovered evidence of the first mining in the Americas, red ochre mined 12,000 years ago, human skeletons from the Pleistocene era, and fossils of extinct animals, such as the giant ground sloth. The Mayans believed that these cenotes were portals to Xibalba, the underground world, and made offerings and human sacrifices in their waters. Modern divers continue to find ceremonial artifacts, and evidence of these ancient rituals in the depths. Did you already know any of these interesting facts about Mexico? Leave in the comments. And if you visited any of these mysterious places, share your experience. We'd love to know how you encountered Mexican secrets. Traveling through Mexico is diving into a kaleidoscope of experiences where each region reveals a different facet of this nation of fascinating contrasts. Let's start our journey in Chichén Itzá, the majestic Mayan city located on the Yucatan Peninsula. Declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO and elected one of the 7 wonders of the modern world, this pre-Columbian city exerts an immediate fascination on anyone who contemplates its magnitude. The Pyramid of Kukulkan, also known as El Castillo, stands imposingly in the center of the archaeological complex with its 30 meters in height spread over 9 platforms, representing the 9 levels of the underworld in Mayan cosmology. The most impressive happens during the spring and autumn equinoxes, when a phenomenon of light and shadow creates the illusion of a feathered serpent descending the steps of the pyramid, an extraordinary demonstration of the Mayans' advanced astronomical knowledge. As you walk through the complex, you will find yourself surrounded by other architectural treasures. The largest Mesoamerican Juego de Pelota ball game field ever discovered, measuring 168 meters long. The enigmatic observatory, El Caracol, whose windows are perfectly aligned with specific astronomical events, and the sacred Cenote Sagrado, a natural well where archaeologists recovered human skeletons and precious objects, evidence of the sacrificial rituals performed by the Mayans. For the full experience, arrive early to avoid the crowds and intense heat. Hire a guide who can reveal the secrets and symbolism hidden within the structures, and be sure to watch the nightly light and sound show that retells the history of this fascinating people. Leaving the Mayan world, we are transported to the vibrant Mexico City, one of the largest metropolises in the world and a true open-air museum where past and present coexist in chaotic harmony. In the heart of the city lies the Zócalo, the second largest public square in the world, where Mexico's monumental flag flies over a space that was once the Aztec ceremonial center. Dominating one side of the square is the majestic Metropolitan Cathedral, a Baroque masterpiece built over 250 years on the ruins of the Aztec Templo Mayor, a powerful symbol of the cultural overlap that defines Mexico. A few steps away, the National Palace is home to Diego Rivera's stunning murals that chronicle Mexican history in vibrant colors. To get lost in the streets of the historic center is to witness the collision of multiple temporal layers. Colonial buildings tilted due to the gradual sinking of the city, built on a lake drained by the Spanish. Pulsating markets where street vendors trade as their ancestors did centuries ago, and modern skyscrapers that rise to the horizon. For an authentic experience, embark on a journey through the canals of Xochimilco aboard a colorful Trajinera boat, where floating mariachis serenize passengers while local families celebrate special occasions with food and music. Be sure to visit the National Museum of Anthropology, one of the most important in the world, where the monumental sun stone, mistakenly called the Aztec calendar, and the imposing Olmec head bear witness to the grandeur of pre-Columbian civilizations. For a contemporary feel, explore the bohemian neighborhood of La Condesa with its sidewalk cafes and local designer boutiques, or visit Casa Azul in Coyoacán, where Frida Kahlo was born, lived, and turned her pain into immortal art. Our next stop takes us deep into the Barranca del Cabra, Copper Canyon, a canyon system in the state of Chihuahua that is 4 times larger in length and almost twice as deep as the American Grand Canyon. This natural wonder, carved over millions of years by the Urique River and its tributaries, offers breathtaking landscapes, vertical walls and shades of green and copper that plunge up to 2,400 meters deep, forming a labyrinth of canyons, waterfalls, and rock formations that seem to defy gravity. The best way to appreciate this geological wonder is aboard the cheap Chihuahua Pacific train, an engineering masterpiece that winds for 653 kilometers, crossing 39 bridges and 86 tunnels on one of the most spectacular railway routes in the world. When you disembark in Divisadero, you will be greeted by raramuri, tarahumaras, children dressed in colorful traditional costumes selling handicrafts. The raramuris, ancestral inhabitants of these canyons, are famous for their exceptional physical resistance. Men and women capable of running ultra-marathon distances barefoot or with simple leather sandals over extremely rugged terrain. For the adventurous, the canyon offers zip lines that cross vertiginous chasms, challenging trails that descend into the canyon's depths, and opportunities to camp under stunningly clear, starry skies. If you're looking for a more intimate encounter with local culture, visit during Holy Week, when the Raramuris perform syncretic ceremonies that mix Catholic elements and ancestral beliefs in colorful and hypnotic rituals. Going down to the Pacific coast, we find Puerto Vallarta, a jewel nestled between the Sierra Madre Occidental and Banderas Bay, one of the largest bays in the world. What began as a small fishing village was catapulted to international fame when Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton settled here, while filming The Night of the Iguana in 1964, transforming this nook into an elite destination. Today, Puerto Vallarta perfectly balances its small-town charm with sophisticated tourist infrastructure. The heart of the city is the Malecon, a 1.5 kilometers waterfront promenade punctuated by surreal bronze sculptures created by contemporary Mexican artists. As you walk its cobblestone streets, you'll discover the iconic Church of Our Lady of Guadalupe, whose bell tower topped with an ornate crown dominates the city skyline. The golden sand beaches are complemented by crystal-clear waters where humpback whales can be seen performing acrobatic leaps during their annual migration, December to March. For an unforgettable gastronomic experience, visit the Café de Artis restaurants, where haute Mexican cuisine meets film-worthy settings. The more adventurous can explore the isolated villages south of the bay, accessible only by boat, such as Yalapa, a car-free paradise where time seems to stand still. Be sure to join an expedition to swim with dolphins in their natural habitat or dive in the Marietas Islands, where the famous Playa del Amor, a beach hidden inside a cave formed by a military explosion, awaits those willing to swim through a narrow tunnel to discover it. Our route continues in Guanajuato, a colonial city built in a narrow valley that looks like a three-dimensional labyrinth where streets, alleys, and staircases intertwine on overlapping levels. Declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO, Guanajuato was one of the richest cities in colonial Mexico thanks to its silver mines, and this prosperity is reflected in its sumptuous architecture. The city's most peculiar road system are the tunnels, old underground river channels that were converted into underground roads after severe flooding in the 20th century. Emerging from these tunnels, you'll find yourself in charming squares like Jardin de la Union, where mariachis and music students from the University of Guanajuato offer spontaneous serenades under the starry sky. The city is famous for the colorful houses, which spread across the hillsides like a vibrant mosaic. Among its architectural jewels, the Teatro Juarez stands out, a neoclassical building from the 19th century whose facade is crowned by statues of the 9 Greek muses. Guanajuato is also the birthplace of celebrated artist Diego Rivera. His home was turned into a museum where his early work is displayed. A peculiar tradition are the Calageniatas, groups of students dressed in 17th century costumes who lead visitors through the narrow streets, callejons, singing traditional songs and telling local legends. The most famous of these alleys is Callejon del Beso, Kiss Alley, so narrow that balconies on opposite sides are just 69 centimeters apart, close enough for a romantic kiss. For a truly unique experience, visit during the Festival Internacional Cervantino, when the entire city transforms into a stage for artists from around the world celebrating the arts in one of Latin America's biggest cultural festivals. From the mountains we descended to the Yucatan Peninsula to visit Tulum, where Mayan ruins perch on cliffs overlooking the Caribbean Sea in one of the most photographed settings in Mexico. Unlike other Mayan archaeological sites, Tulum was a walled port city that functioned as a center of commerce. Its most iconic building, El Castillo, rises dramatically atop a 40-foot cliff, serving as a beacon for sailors. Small openings in its walls precisely align with the sunrise during solstices and equinoxes. The Temple of Frescoes preserves rare wall paintings that depict the Mayan spiritual world with its deities, rituals, and cosmic symbols. What makes Tulum truly special is the possibility of diving in the turquoise waters at the foot of the ruins or exploring nearby cenotes, underwater portals to the Mayan underworld. The modern city of Tulum has transformed from a fishing village into a bohemian chic retreat that attracts celebrities and travelers looking for a more spiritual connection. Its eco-friendly boutique hotels, many operating completely off-grid and using only solar energy, offer unique experiences such as massages with traditional Mayan elements, temazcal, pre-Hispanic ritual sauna, ceremonies, and sunrise yoga classes overlooking the sea. The region is home to the Sion Khan Biosphere Reserve, an ecological treasure with mangroves, coral reefs, and natural canals excavated by the Mayans 2 millennia ago. An unmissable experience is floating through these ancient channels, letting yourself be carried by the gentle current while watching tropical birds and, occasionally, turtles, manatees, or dolphins. We ended our journey in Oaxaca, considered by many to be the cultural and gastronomic heart of Mexico. The colonial city, with its cobblestone streets and buildings painted in earthy, pastel colors, is home to one of the country's most vibrant art scenes. The Zocalo, Central Square, pulses with energy day and night, with bands playing marimba, vendors offering chapulines, fried grasshoppers seasoned with lemon and pepper, and cafes serving the unique Oaxacan chocolate prepared in the traditional way. A few blocks away, the Santo Domingo Temple dazzles visitors with its interior completely covered in gold, a Baroque explosion of splendor that silences even the most skeptical. Oaxaca is famous for its crafts, especially alebrijes, colorful sculptures of fantastic animals, Zapotec textiles with intricate geometric patterns, and black pottery from San Bartolo Coyotepec, polished with quartz to a metallic shine. Oaxacan cuisine is considered the most sophisticated and diverse in Mexico, with its 7 different types of mole, complex sauces that can contain more than 30 ingredients, including dark chocolate, quesillo, string cheese, tlayudas, large crunchy tortillas covered with beans, cheese, and meats, and artisanal mezcal produced in small family stills. 40 minutes from the city is Monte Alban, an ancient Zapotec capital built on top of an artificially flattened mountain, offering 360-degree panoramic views of the surrounding valleys. During Day of the Dead, October 31st to November 2nd, Oaxaca transforms into a surreal spectacle of colors, scents, and rituals, with cemeteries lit by thousands of candles, elaborate altars in homes, and processions of comparsas, people in costume, dancing through the streets to the sound of brass bands. For an in-depth cultural experience, visit during Guelaguetza in July, a celebration of Oaxaca's 16 indigenous ethnicities who perform their traditional dances, music, and costumes in a festival that dates back to pre-Hispanic rituals giving thanks to the corn goddess. Have you visited any of these iconic places in Mexico? Comment below what your experience was. Maybe you discovered a secret or experienced something special that not even the tour guides know about. Share your memories and help other travelers create unforgettable itineraries in this country of infinite wonders. Amid the vast and surprising landscapes of Mexico, there are corners that remain off the beaten track and offer intense and unforgettable experiences for those who visit them. In each of these 7 hidden destinations, the visitor finds himself immersed in a universe of sensations, where the sounds of nature, the aromas of the earth, and the authentic flavors of local ingredients combine in a singular harmony, bringing to light stories and traditions that are perpetuated over time. In the Hidalgo region, Huasca de Ocampo reveals itself as a serene refuge, where nature presents itself in unexpected ways. As you enter the city's cobbled streets, you can feel the constant murmur of the trees and the rhythmic singing of birds, creating a melody that lulls visitors' steps. The earthy aroma that exudes from the forests and pine fields surrounds the environment, while the taste of artisanal bread, prepared with ancestral recipes, invites you to take a break and savor the local culture. The stones of old bridges and sidewalks, marked by time, offer a unique texture to the touch, silently telling stories of past generations. It is said that a resident, whose name was lost in the mists of time, saved the community by rediscovering ancient cultivation and soil preservation techniques, teaching his neighbors secrets that guaranteed the continuity of a tradition that became collective pride. Heading towards the desert of San Luis Potosí, Rio de Catorce appears like a mystical enclave, where the dust of time mixes with the brightness of the sun and the darkness of starry nights. The narrow adobe streets seem to whisper stories from a distant past, and the silence of the desert interspersed with the distant sound of the wind dragging dry leaves creates an atmosphere of introspection. The smoky smell of wood burning in small fires, used both to cook and to warm visitors, mixes with the unusual flavor of an artisanal mezcal, whose production has been passed down from father to son for generations. When touching the worn walls, the cold and porous texture of the material invites you to imagine the secrets and rituals of ancient healers, among which stands out the legend of a local healer who, with the use of herbs and prayers, helped residents overcome illnesses, leaving a legacy of wisdom and care that still inspires inhabitants and visitors. Further south, in Puebla, Quetzalén appears as an enchanted corner where indigenous tradition pulses around every corner. The streets, adorned with stone and wooden buildings, become stages for festivals and celebrations that highlight pride and ancestral roots. The sound of drums, bells, and chants intertwines with the tinkling of clay utensils, while the aroma of roasted corn and toasted peppers intoxicates the senses, evoking the essence of a cuisine that stands the test of time. When tasting chocolate made the old-fashioned way, it is possible to perceive the smoothness and intensity of the flavors, which interact with the natural sweetness of cocoa grown in a traditional way. One of the stories that circulates among residents tells of a craftsman who, inspired by the ancient gods of the land, began to sculpt vases and utensils with symbolic designs, transforming each piece into a reliquary of memories and beliefs, reinforcing the cultural identity that there is so much to preserve. Descending towards the coast of the state of Oaxaca, Mazant reveals itself as a refuge where nature and care for life meet in a delicate way. The waves that gently break on the beach announce a natural symphony, accompanied by the subtle, salty smell of the sea mixed with the light breeze that carries traces of algae and shells. At the local market, the freshness of seafood, prepared with lemon and pepper, highlights striking and authentic flavors, capable of transporting the palate to the mysteries of the ocean. The texture of the fine, warm sand, which hides between your fingers, contrasts with the softness of the crystal-clear waters, creating an experience that pleases all the senses. Among the resident stories, the story of a fisherman stands out who, by rescuing an injured turtle, began a tradition of protection and care for marine animals, transforming his gesture into a symbol of unity and respect for nature, which echoes across the beaches and in conversations under the open sky. Amidst the mountains of Jalisco, San Sebastián del Oeste preserves a colonial air with its stone buildings and cobblestone streets, where time seems to have stopped. The distant sound of conversations in cafes and the gentle buzz of a city that remains faithful to its origins make up the ideal setting for a dive into history. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee, which spreads through the alleys, mixes with the sweet scent of local delicacies, while the taste of traditional sweets, such as those made from family recipes, reveals a sweetness that transcends time. The rough texture of the ancient walls, marked by the weather and the hands of artisans, refers to the strength and resilience of a past of mining and prosperity. It is said that a family, long rooted in the region, kept secrets about forgotten mines, and that a young descendant, on an autumn afternoon, rediscovered traces that rekindled collective memory, encouraging residents to value their origins and pass on history to future generations. Turning to the heart of the country, Amilco, in Querétaro, stands out for preserving Otomi traditions that are perpetuated in every gesture and celebration. The dirt streets and brightly colored houses seem to vibrate to the sound of songs and dances that take place in ceremonies held in centuries-old squares. The intoxicating aroma of incense and herbs used in religious rituals mixes with the smell of dishes prepared with local ingredients, such as corn tamal and the sweetness of organic honey, providing an unusual encounter of flavors that celebrate the land and its harvests. When touching the artisanal fabrics, carefully made by hand, the soft and resistant texture reminds us of stories of dedication and transmission of knowledge, where each pattern and color tells a unique narrative. A legend passed down from generation to generation tells about an elder who, through his teachings and songs, preserve the secrets of rituals and traditions, teaching younger people the importance of honoring their roots and the beauty of a way of life in harmony with nature. Finally, on the slopes of the serene region of Jalisco, Tapalpa enchants with its rustic atmosphere and the experience of traditions that are renewed with each new day. The fresh, crisp air of the mountains, permeated by the scent of pine trees and the dew that spreads at dawn, creates a suitable setting for moments of contemplation. In small shops and markets, the aroma of artisanal cheeses and freshly harvested fruits merges with the sound of lively conversations and spontaneous laughter of residents, who find inspiration in preserving their roots in daily interaction. When tasting a typical dish, made with ingredients grown on the region's slopes, the intense and natural flavor reveals the generosity of the land, while the texture of the products, from the softness of the bread to the firmness of the cheeses, refers to the dedication of local producers. Among the stories that spread throughout the narrow streets, the story of a young artisan stands out who, by rediscovering ancient wood carving techniques, managed to give new life to furniture and utensils, attracting the attention of neighbors and sparking a renewed interest in manual culture, which is preserved with care and authenticity. Each of these corners offers not only a unique landscape, but a total immersion in the senses, where sound, smell, taste, and touch come together to tell stories of tradition and resilience. When walking through Huasca de Ocampo, visitors find themselves surrounded by an atmosphere that harks back to times when the relationship with nature was celebrated in every gesture, and where the memory of ancestors is present in every stone and every tree. In Rio de Catorce, the experience of walking through ancient streets and feeling the peculiar energy of the desert invites introspection and enchantment, while the stories of healers and knowledge passed down from generation to generation instigate imagination and respect for what came before. Quetzalén, with its vivacity and authenticity, transports you to a universe where rituals and art are in perfect harmony, making every flavor and every touch transform into a celebration of cultural identity. Mazunte, in turn, offers a deep connection with the sea and with the life that pulses in the waves, where every breath brings a reminder of the importance of taking care of the environment and recognizing the beauty that resides in simple things, such as the encounter between man and nature. San Sebastián del Oeste recalls the grandeur of a bygone era, but without losing the modernity of the feelings that echo in the cafes and squares, where past and present meet in a silent and moving dialogue. Amilco, with its Otomi roots, reveals an ancestral wisdom that is perpetuated in celebrations, rituals, and the art of weaving one's own history with the threads of time, teaching that each tradition carries within it the strength of a united community proud of its heritage. And finally, in Tapalpa, life pulses with the intensity of the flavors and aromas of the mountains, where creativity and care for craftsmanship mean that every object, every food, and every gesture becomes a tribute to local culture and identity. These 7 destinations, apparently far from conventional tourist circuits, present themselves as invitations to discover Mexico beyond stereotypes, where authenticity and cultural richness are manifested in every detail, in every corner, and in every story told by the residents. When exploring these villages and natural reserves, the traveler encounters a symphony of sensations that goes far beyond sight, reaching smell, taste, and touch, and allowing the heart to connect with traditions that resist time and the challenges of modernity. Through the stories of residents, the legends whispered by the winds, and the flavors prepared with dedication, each corner reveals the essence of a deep and multifaceted Mexico, where coexistence with nature and the preservation of ancient traditions form the basis of a way of living that enchants and surprises, inviting a unique and unforgettable experience, where every moment becomes a testimony to the cultural richness and diversity of a country that is renewed with every dawn, and that in every face and in every story reveals the beauty of a legacy that pulses with intensity and emotion. Mexico is a country where every corner reveals stories and traditions that awaken the imagination and invite you to a unique and unforgettable experience. Have you ever imagined experiencing a party where life, and death intertwine in a spectacle of colors and feelings? During the Day of the Dead, for example, the streets are filled with altars meticulously decorated with flowers, candles, and offerings, honoring those who have passed away and keeping the memory of past generations alive. Which element of this celebration, so full of symbolism, arouses your curiosity the most? Is it the devotion with which families prepare every detail, or the atmosphere of fraternization that transforms mourning into a celebration of love and respect? How about experiencing the contagious energy of indigenous dances and rituals, which preserve ancestral traditions and awaken a sense of belonging to the natural universe? Have you ever thought about joining a local community and participating in a ceremony in which gestures, songs, and dances become a silent dialogue with nature? Do you find yourself immersed in this atmosphere, feeling the heat of the drums and the vibration of the songs that echo through the mountains? These moments of communion with the past and present invite not only reflection, but also the sharing of personal stories about magical encounters with the unknown. Mexico is also the scene of superstitions and rituals that defy time and the limits of the imagination. There are those who tell the legend of protective spirits that manifest themselves on full moon nights, or of mysterious entities that roam the streets in search of wandering souls. Do you believe that certain energies can influence people's destiny and luck? Have you ever had an experience that made you rethink the way you see mysticism? These beliefs, passed down from generation to generation, reinforce the sense of cultural identity and connection to invisible forces that shape the daily lives of many Mexicans. Amid these traditions, there are also simple and charming gestures that mark daily coexistence. Think about the delicate way in which residents greet each other with a warm hug, or how informal conversations in markets and squares reveal hospitality and pride in their own culture. Have you ever been surprised by the power of a simple gesture or a spontaneous conversation to transform an ordinary day into a special memory? The way Mexicans celebrate life, even in the face of challenges, is an invitation to rethink our own relationships and the value we give to small but meaningful human interactions. Local festivities, which vary from region to region, offer unforgettable experiences. In some cities, the Quema del Diablo, burning of the devil, marks the beginning of a period of purification and renewal, where people gather to burn amulets and symbolize the elimination of negative energies. In others, the voladores dance in chants with acrobatics in which participants spin around a pole, symbolizing the connection between heaven and earth. Can you imagine participating in one of these celebrations? What feelings would awaken in you the opportunity to witness or even integrate these traditions that, in addition to being fascinating, carry centuries of history and wisdom? We invite you to reflect on what these experiences might mean for your own trajectory. Perhaps you have already participated in a party or ritual that gave you a new perspective on life. Or perhaps you feel the desire to explore these cultural manifestations and discover up close the secrets they hold. Share with us, which Mexican tradition or custom would you most like to experience? How do you believe these experiences could transform the way you see the world? Each custom, each superstition, and each gesture reveals a unique facet of Mexican identity, which is built from the fusion between the ancient and the contemporary, between the sacred and the everyday. By allowing yourself to explore these curiosities, you not only enrich your knowledge, but also create bridges of empathy and understanding with cultures that, despite their differences, share a passion for life and the desire to keep alive the stories that shape our past and inspire our future. Leave your impressions, stories, or dreams related to this enchanting universe in the comments, and come be part of this ongoing celebration of Mexico's diversity and cultural richness. In every corner, Mexico reveals itself with vibrant traditions and moving scenes. The trip brought flavors, sounds, and stories that warm the heart, celebrating the cultural diversity and magic of a country that unites past and present. Allow yourself to be inspired by this unforgettable destination and discover the soul of each village and festival. If you enjoyed this trip, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell so you don't miss any new adventures.